In this tutorial, we'll be guiding you step by step on how to sew a set-in sleeve with gathers at the cap when you're working with French seams. We'll be using a 1.5 centimeter or 5/8 of an inch seam allowance to sew our sleeve. When sewing a sleeve, the most important thing is to get the alignment correct. Patterns will usually mark the back of a sleeve and armhole with a double notch and the front with a single notch. Ensuring you match these up correctly will set you up for success. To begin, sew 2 rows of basting stitches on your sleeve cap, beginning and ending 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch outside the gathering notches. The stitches should be 0.6 centimeters or 1/4 of an inch from the raw edge and spaced 0.6 centimeters or 1/4 of an inch apart, and have long threads pulled at the start and end. We'll be using these basting stitches to create our gathered sleeve cap. If you need a refresher on how to sew basting stitches, check out the tutorial linked below. After you have sewn the sleeve inseam, turn your sleeve inside out and insert it into the bodice armhole. Align the bodice side seam with the sleeve inseam wrong sides together. To ensure the seams line up correctly once sewn, check they match up 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch down from the raw edge. Pin through the seam line, ensuring the pin pierces the stitch line on both the bodice and sleeve seam. Next, pin the single front notch of the bodice armhole with the corresponding notch on the sleeve. Repeat this with the double back notches. Add additional pins as needed between the seam and the notches. Finally, match up the sleeve cap notch to the shoulder seam and secure it with a pin. Next, we'll create our gathers at the sleeve cap. With the sleeve facing up, gently pull the top 2 basting threads to gather the sleeve cap until the gathering notches meet and the sleeve cap lies flat in the armhole. Evenly distribute the gathers and add pins as needed. Repeat this process on the second side. Finally, pin the remaining section of your sleeve and bodice. At the machine, ensure the sleeve is facing up. Begin sewing at the side seam 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch from the raw edge. Take it nice and slowly when sewing over the gathers, making sure they are nice and even, and finish with a back stitch. Once sewn, we will move on to trimming. Here's where to be a little careful, as it's where most slip-ups with French seams occur due to not trimming closely enough. Here is an example of this mistake on a regular French seam. You can see on the right side those pesky raw edges are visible. We want to avoid that. To trim the sleeve, insert it inside the bodice so you have one distinct stitch line visible on the right side of the bodice. Make sure to trim the seam back to 0.3 centimeters or 1/8 of an inch to keep those sneaky threads hidden. Also, take extra care not to snip the garment while you are trimming the seam allowance. Next, grab a tailor's hem, or if you don't have one, rolled up linen or cotton serves the same purpose. Place the seam open with right side facing up on the tailor's hem and press the seam allowance to one side. You can lightly press the gathers to keep the volume intact. Next, fold the fabric with right sides together. Using your fingertips, roll the seam towards the outer edge, pressing it as you go. Use pins as needed, taking care to carefully match up the side seam and inseam 0.6 centimeters or 1/4 of an inch from the folded edge. At the sewing machine, ensure the sleeve side is facing up. Align the pressed edge with the 0.6 centimeter or 1/4 of an inch guide on your machine. Beginning at the side seam, sew around the armhole, securing both the start and end with a back stitch. Again, take it slow when sewing over the gathers to ensure they are nice and even. Lastly, press the seam towards the sleeve, taking care to only steam over the gathers. And now you have a beautiful set-in sleeve finished with French seams. If you love sewing, we've got something to help you plan out your creations, our awesome and awesomely free PDF sewing planner. Jot down your measurements, hack plans, and supplies for every project and add your fabric swatches and garment sketches. Use one of our 4 croquis models or sketch on the blank planner pages. It also includes a collection planner for organizing swatches and styling ideas for mini wardrobe collections and a 12-month sewing calendar. Get all your measurements sorted with our journal and step-by-step video tutorial, which walks you through how to take each measurement. Download your planner for free at madelabel.co/planner so you can get creative and plan out the wardrobe of your dreams.